One of the core mechanics of the Pokemon games, and just about every other JRPG, is random encounters. Today, we're going to see if you can beat Pokemon Diamond without random encounters. That means that the only Pokemon I'll be able to get are from static encounters, and the only way I'll be able to level them up is with trainer battles. To make this challenge a bit more challenging, I won't be using any cheats, exploits, hacks, or trading. So I won't have access to any of the event Pokemon that require you to cheat in an event item, or any of the Pokemon that require the national dex. I'm also going to generally avoid using items during battles, more so the later in the game I get. Without any further ado, let's get into the run. Picking the right starter is crucial for this challenge. Because of how limited I am with the Pokemon I'll be able to obtain, there's only one starter that won't result in a softlock later. Throughout the run, Piplup, or more accurately Piplup's evolutions, are the only Pokemon I can get that can learn the HMs Surf and Waterfall, two HMs that are required to progress through the game's main story. So I pick up my favorite Pokemon and name him Blasphemy, for reasons that should be apparent shortly if they aren't already. The route to Jubilife City goes more or less the same as it does in any other playthrough, just a lot faster because I'm running from all the wild Pokemon I encounter. The handful of trainers that are on Route 202, I'll use one or two low-level Pokemon that Blasphemy is more than capable of taking out on his own. Though I do have to make frequent stops at the Poke Center in Sandgem Town to restore his health. As soon as I got into Jubilife City, I was shamed by Lucas for not catching any Pokemon on my way over. Then I ran around the city grabbing all the items. Quick Claw from the tenements, which I gave to Blasphemy, the town map for talking to my obnoxious snot rag of a rival in the school, and the 3 clone coupons you need for the Poketch. On the way to Orberg City, I have to fight my rival, which is a lot scarier here than in the newer games, because Diamond is old enough that the rivals still pick the starter that has the type advantage against the player. The Starly that comes out first takes off half of Blasphemy's health with quick attacks. Then the Turtwig opened by spamming withdraw until I was doing around a whopping 1 whole damage per attack. Using 2 potions gave me just enough time to pound the turtle to death so I could continue on my way to the first badge. While I don't want to just overlevel my starter and have it steamroll everything, it is important that I get him evolved around the time I beat the first gym, so I did make a point to fight every trainer available on the way. I had my first whiteout to a level 7 Kricketot, which is embarrassing. So I decided to head north out of Jubilife City to clear the way to Floroma Town, since I'll need to go over there after getting the first badge anyways. With an extra level, I'm able to enact my vengeance upon the bug and continue down Route 203. Inside Mount Coronet, I'm given the HM for Rock Smash, but I can't do anything with it quite yet, so I go through the mountain and start grabbing items in Orberg City. After telling the gym leader to stop looking at rocks and go do her job, I can go take on the first gym. Not only do I have type advantage for this gym, but at this point Blasphemy's also significantly higher level than the Pokemon he's being pitted against. I promise that this overleveling is necessary for the beginning and the level gap will close fairly quickly. After fighting the last trainer in the gym, Blasphemy evolved into Prinplup, which means that I'm able to teach him the HM Rock Smash. He'll also be learning the HMs Cut, Surf, and Waterfall. That's right. I'm using my starter and my favorite Pokemon in the entire franchise as an HM slave. Blasphemy. Roark herself is a pushover. My strat going in was to use Bubble, and I took down everything with ease, without taking a single point of damage. I stopped by the Pokemart to buy a handful of repels, which I'll be using pretty much constantly now that they're available. Then head over to Floroma Town to do plot stuff and get my second Pokemon. I'm still pretty overleveled, so the fight against the Galactic Grunts in Jubilife City is cake, as are the trainers on Route 204. Over at the Valley Windworks, I curb stomp the Galactic Grunt's Glameow and his buddy in the flower fields. And the grunt inside the Windworks. Commander Mars is marginally more challenging as her Pokemon are leveled into the double digits. And her Purugly was able to take off most of my health with a bunch of lucky flinches. But one Super Potion later and the first Team Galactic Commander exfils from the Windworks. This means that I can now use the magic of emulation to turn the day to Friday and catch myself a Drifloon, to finally add another member to the team. It took a couple attempts to catch it because I was getting crits at the worst possible time and killing the thing. I got fed up with accidentally killing it and just started chucking Pokeballs when it hit the yellow range, and got it on the first try with a Premier Ball. I then named it Wrath because it was an accurate description of my state of mind at the time, and because it fit well with Blasphemy, and because I thought it was funny to name the sentient murder balloon Wrath. Wrath gets his chance to shine right away as I go into Eterna Forest, because most of the trainers here use Bug or Grass types, which are both very weak to my Flying type balloon. The few instances where trainers don't use Bug or Grass type Pokemon, namely this one fucking Pachirisu, are definitely an issue though. One of the biggest challenges of this run is how limited I am with what typing I have available to me, and it's gonna be a hot minute before I have any good answer for electric types. In Eterna City, I pick up the Explorer Kit, which I'll need in a little while, teach Blasphemy the Cut HM, then head into the Grass Gym. Thanks to having picked up Wrath, I've now got type and level advantage for this gym. So, the hide-and-seek gym puzzle breezes by, and before I know it, I'm fighting Gym Leader Gardenia. Wrath's Gust shreds her Cherubi and Turtwig before getting KO'd by her Roserade's Magic Leaf move. Despite having resistance to Grass-type moves, Magic Leaf still does an alarming amount of damage, especially when it crits, and once Wrath goes down, the fight may as well be over. A second attempt gave me better RNG, and Wrath was able to take down the gym leader. Netting me the Forest Badge and the ability to use the Cut HM outside of battle. Now I'm able to get into Team Galactic's HQ to rescue the bike shop owner. None of the Galactic Grunts have anything that can survive more than 2 hits from either of my Pokemon, so I just waltz upstairs to confront Commander Jupiter. She's much easier than the gym leader, with just a Zubat and a Skuntank, both of which are significantly lower level than I am. Returning to the guy I just saved to collect my reward of a shiny new bike, I can start making my way to Hearthome City. I was, infuriatingly, a single Pokemon away from being able to get the EXP share item from Professor Rowan's assistant outside Eterna City. One of the many downsides of not engaging in random encounters. Luckily, the first trainer I accidentally ran into on the bike path had a Staravia, and I was able to return and get the item. Due to how over-leveled I was at this point, I made an active effort to avoid trainer battles to close the level gap and make things a little more interesting. I also wanted to make sure that I'd have some trainers I could get experience from later. Further down Route 207, Lucas gives me the Versus Seeker, which I believe means that I technically have access to an infinite amount of trainer battles via rematches. I'm not going to be using this feature unless I've exhausted all other options. I also get stopped by this random dude with blue anime hair in a cave who wanted to talk to me about existential nihilism, I think? I don't know, it was weird, but I'm sure he won't come up again later. The very first thing I do upon getting to Hearthome is pick up the Happiny Egg from the hiker over at the entrance to Route 209. The second thing I did was backtrack to pick up the odd keystone from this guy who I missed on the way here. There's not really anything else to do here just yet, so I mash A to try to get through all the dialogue in the contest center as fast as possible. Sorry, but hearing about the protagonist Pokemom's past as a beauty pageant kid just isn't that interesting. And then I got ambushed by another rival fight. He's added a Buizel and a Ponyta to his team. The Buizel takes a few physical attacks to deal with, and the Ponyta goes down with a single bubble. His other two Pokemon are even more manageable than in the first fight, because I'm still a bit over-leveled and I'm not just relying on Blasphemy anymore. With that out of the way, I'm able to head down to Route 209 and stick the odd keystone in the equally odd stone tower. And again, with the magic of emulation, I'm able to save my game, go into the underground, talk to myself in a cave, leave the underground, and repeat that 31 more times. Eventually, I log 32 individual conversations in my underground journal and spawn in my third Pokemon, Spiritomb. I named him Agony because that is exactly what getting him was. Then I headed the rest of the way into Solaceon Town, ignoring the Lost Tower for now, and took a quick rest before starting towards Veilstone City. Spiritomb is a beast. The Hypnosis Dream Eater combo is pretty stupid and I love it. His other attacks, Feint Attack and Ominous Wind, are pretty great too. Certainly the best, most well-rounded attack are currently in the party by a landslide. Of course, that doesn't help me when I forget that Gyarados is a water flying type instead of just a water type and get my ass handed to me because I banked on Gus doing big damage to him. Actually using my new heavy hitter against the tanky Sea Dragon gets me past the fight and into Veilstone City. I decided, for some reason, that I wanted to hatch my Happiny to have an extra body before taking on the fighting gym, and 8,000 plus steps later, the egg hatched. And now Boredom is on the team. Because he took a total of like 10,000 steps to hatch and ended up being pretty fucking useless. I stuck the EXP share on him so I could level him up while taking on the gym. And what's this? An actual puzzle? Gyms in this generation, I think, are generally very lackluster. The puzzles are either non-existent or super generic, and the theming for the gyms is pretty boring. I don't know, maybe I've just been spoiled with the little mini-games and neat designs from the modern games. As for this particular gym, fighting type moves are weak to flying types. So Wrath takes point once again, supplemented by Agony's sleep moves. During the trainer fights, Wrath evolved, which is perfect timing because while Drifloon can't learn Fly, Drifblim can. So once we're done, unlocking fast travel should be pretty straightforward. But before I can worry about figuring out how to fly, I have to actually beat Maylene. Wrath's Gust made short work of her Meditite and Machoke. Then I switched into Agony to take down her Lucario with the Hypnosis Dream Eater combo, and claimed my 3rd badge. Now I have to actually get the Fly HM, which is currently hidden away in the city's Team Galactic warehouse. Lucas joins me for a double battle in front of the warehouse because Team Galactic stole his Pokedex, and he has to get it back to appease his tyrannical mad scientist boss. Although honestly, he might as well have not even been there because he's just got a single Clefairy, and I'm pretty sure I would have been better off with 2 of my own Pokemon. Inside the warehouse, the Fly HM is just sitting on the ground, so I pick it up and teach it to Wrath. I replace Gust with it, which was a questionable decision, but it's what I did. Now it's on to Pastoria City. Heading south from Hearthome City down Route 212, I curb stomp a couple of old rich people, and boy oh boy, Fly is pretty damn good. It's basically the jump ability that Dragoons get in the Final Fantasy games. When I use it, Wrath flies out of the area to avoid all damage until it dives down on its next turn and does big damage. Since the Great Marsh is just a place to get random encounters, the only thing I can actually do in the city is take on the gym. Since the 4th gym is all water types, I don't have anything that's great against the Pokemon here, but everyone on the team is okay at dealing with water types. The fights here take longer than the previous gyms, but I have the advantages of my Pokemon being slightly higher levels, and my brain not being controlled by an AI designed to entertain children. Crasher Wake, despite having a fantastic name and design, is pretty straightforward. I already learned my lesson about fighting Gyarados earlier, and started by putting him to sleep while whittling down its health with Agony. The same strategy worked quite well with his Buizel and Quagsire, and won the gym. This gym was the one I was worried most about so far, going into it, but ended up being the easiest of the run. With the Fen badge in hand, I've officially gotten half the gym badges. Now, there's some quick quest stuff to do in Pastoria, mostly just following around this galactic grunt acting sus as hell, and trying to get to Lake Valor. And being interrupted by the blonde dumbass, who can't read the room and tell I'm trying to stalk a criminal. His team is the same as before, and I've got even more Pokemon, so it's basically just an easier rehash of the last fight. I tracked down the grunt chilling on the beach, talking about some ominous high-energy device that he's trying to deliver to the lake. I'm sure it's probably fine, but maybe not letting him just walk off would be a good idea. Finally, right by the lakefront, we take out this grunt and his cat, and then let him walk off to the lake and deliver whatever mysterious, totally not a bomb item it was that he was carrying. Well, there's definitely nothing I could have done about that, so I chat with Cynthia for a minute, then move the Psyduck blockade so I can get into Celestic Town and do some errands for Cynthia. The fog on Route 10 is a little bit annoying since I didn't get the HM from the tower, but there's just enough visibility to be able to navigate the route without it. And the accuracy debuff isn't a huge deal since it applies to everyone. In Celestic Town, I start off by checking in with the grunt, who threatens to bomb the city? Yeah, I'm fairly certain that Team Galactic is the most actively threatening and violent villainous team that Pokemon's ever had. By a lot. I meet up with Cynthia's grandma to learn some lore, and to get the Surf HM, which I immediately put on Blasphemy. The blue-haired weirdo from Mount Coronet shows up again. Apparently, he's named Cyrus. He spouts some cryptic nonsense and leaves. And now I can return to Hearthome and finally take on the elusive Fantina in her Ghost-type gym. This gym sucks. It makes you do arithmetic. I skip all the trainers and fight Fantina. Or I try to, at least she grinds me and my Pokemon to dust on my first attempt. I went back and fought every trainer for some XP and to give myself time to formulate a strategy against ghost types. My main takeaways were that Agony both does and takes a shitload of damage, and Wrath is only viable when he's fast enough to fly before the enemy gets a turn. And most everything else just isn't very effective. I ended up relying heavily on Agony's Hypnosis and Dream Eater. Shocking, I know. I promise I don't rely on this as a crutch for the entire run, just a lot of it. Agony was able to deal with Fantina's Drift Blim, and Wrath popped out to finish the Magius, and take out the Gengar with a whopping 8 HP remaining. And boom! Relic Badge obtained. Now we can use Surf out of combat and get to Conclave City. Hi puppy. I run into my rival again, and now he's actually got some updates to his team. He's got an evolved Staravia, and he's also picked up a Heracross. Not that either of them can stand up to my team. With that annoyance out of the way, I head off to Iron Island to pick up my final non-legendary Pokemon of the run. I zip down the first couple levels to find Riley and team up with him, his Lucario, and his sweet hat to make it to the bottom of Iron Island. Most trainers down here just use rock types, which makes Blasphemy and his Surf attack able to take on just about everything. After taking out the duo of Galactic Grunts with their standard Galactic Grunt Pokemon that I've been fighting for the entire run, Riley gives me a Riolu egg. And since the next gym is the Steel-type gym, a properly leveled Riolu or even an evolved Lucario would be ideal to take it on. So I zoom around Conclave City to hatch the egg, name him Violence, then run around the map taking on some of the trainers that I bypassed earlier to get him properly leveled. When Violence was at level 25, I got sick of scouring the map for trainers that I missed and decided to give the gym a go. I mean, sure, he's under-leveled, but he has a strong type advantage, so we should be able to do something. Oh. Oh no. Well, a large portion of the Steel-type Pokemon in this gym are double-typed with Ground or Rock, so Blasphemy can carry. Again. And hey, Violence still has the XP share, so maybe he'll be slightly viable by the time we get to the gym leader. Well, he's level 28 now, which is better, technically. I've fought enough Bronzors at this point to know that my best bet is to use the Hypnosis Dream Eater combo. Iron Steelix gets one-shotted by a crit from Blasphemy's Surf, and I think the Bastodon would have been pretty scary if it had done anything but use Iron Defense. Why is it that the gyms I think will be a massive problem are super easy, but the ones I go into with confidence kick my ass? I grab the Mind Badge and go to track down the next one when I'm accosted by the brat again. At least he doesn't insist on fighting me this time. He just wants us to come to the library to talk with Professor Rowan. I go do that and then get sent to the Lake of Valor to investigate a potential legendary Pokemon location. And oh, looks like Team Galactic went and did a terrorism. Better go send a literal child to check that out.